one could easily argue that when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott is the weak link. What we have been lamenting is whether or not Dak Prescott can be that dude when it really, really counts, because we're still waiting after all of these years. You just brought up Cooper Rush, right? All right, and how his QBR is 10 points higher in the same amount of games. That's an indictment when you're a star quarterback who's got paid $95 million over the last 2 years.
What do you think? Is Dak the weak link in Dallas?
No, absolutely not. What their weak link is they need somebody else in the passing game. Right now, we're sitting here on November 15th. Their second leading receiver is Noah Brown. That's their problem. So Cooper Rush played well. I thought they should have run the ball more in the fourth quarter. Tony Pollard, to me, is their best offensive player right now, but they need another receiver, Kia, like very similar to what's in Chicago. But Dak Prescott's
so is the Amari Cooper situation a mistake in retrospect?
1,000%.
It's only a mistake because they couldn't figure out economically how to make it work.
I thought you told me there's no cap. You're the one who's always telling me there's no cap.
There's no cap. They pay who they want to pay.
Well, shouldn't they have wanted to pay Amari Cooper?
They didn't think his production was worth it. It was a mistake. They didn't think
it was a mistake.
If he was a $10 million receiver, they would have made it work. Instead, he was a $22 million receiver. So they're like, at $22 million, we can get this from CeeDee Lamb at $1.5 million.
I don't buy the argument about Dak, Mike, and I'll tell you why. Dak is good. I'm not saying he's bad. I don't think he's the weak link. But no one has it perfect. Like, Dak needs it perfect. It's not like he doesn't have receivers on the team. He has a running back, he has an offensive line, he has a great defense. He has so much stuff that we're really sitting here going, oh, if only he also had, Jamar Chase, boy, he'd be.
But Max, if you are running if you're running domino is what you call it, if you're running short domino in the red zone, and the receiver and the tight end is stacked behind each other, and you pull the trigger because they stacked, that's not Dak, that's them. On third down, before the fourth down call, if CeeDee Lamb explodes off the ball with sudden quickness, in and out of his break, cross face, that's an easy completion.
I have no doubt you're right.
Big man ball is right there.
Mike, I have no doubt the key is right about that. What I'm saying is, the great ones figure it out. Like, if you got a lot, you don't need every year the Cowboys, well, they would have won the Super Bowl. Well, their secondary wasn't quite good. They had an injury here. There's they have a lot every year. Dak doesn't do anything with it. He's won one playoff game in his career. It's year 6. Yeah, 1 year he was hurt, and then he had a bad offensive coordinator. And this year he needs an alpha receiver. Like, what's it going to take?
Max, number one, in Jay, they were winning with Cooper Rush. They had a certain formula. Fine. When he came back, his first couple games, they kept that formula intact.
It worked.
And it worked, and they won. All of a sudden, they got away from it against the Green Bay Packers, and they wind up losing.
In the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter, on top of that. You can't do that. You just can't, Jay.
I got nothing more to say about it. The only thing I have to see for Dak is you have to go win it. Like, I could really care less whether we argue about somebody being a top 10 quarterback or whether I'm not going to talk about somebody else's money. Like, Dak has to go win it. Like, this is his, if you're telling me, Key, out of all the years, and I take your word for it, out of all the years, that this is the most complete team that Dak has had. And we've talked about this. We said, you start getting into next year, you're going to start questioning whether Dak is a guy. This is the year they have to do it, right?
This is the best Cowboy team, in my opinion, that they've had since he's been the starting quarterback.
Okay.
Even though he's won 13 games before, this is the best team because of defense.
It's a championship defense.
So that's my question. So that's where I go back to what Max's point was. If we're saying this is the best team he's had in his time being there in the Dallas Cowboy, like, we can always add on pieces, but it does feel like we start making excuses for Dak to a degree because we're saying he needs something more. Instead of this being the best team,
you know what that something more is going to be.
Right? You can always use something more.
You know what the something more is going to be, guys? It's going to be coach. That's why I said Dak has runway, because they'll blame McCarthy, by next year if this doesn't work out.
I just hate when somebody says he's the worst. He's the
weakest link. Yeah, I'm not saying that,
and that's not true because again, if the tight end and the receiver are not stacked and he pulls the trigger, it's a touchdown. Yeah. Okay, if they get on the same page. In the second interception, and CeeDee Lamb is thinking one coverage, Dak is thinking another, he pulls the trigger, it's picked. If that doesn't happen, if CeeDee Lamb, and I'm not blaming anybody, but if CeeDee Lamb becomes aggressive on third down and understand, okay, it's third and short, 3rd and 3, I got to get this first down.
Got to go get it.
Bam, bam, bam. And now I whip him, boom, across face, first down, I pick up 6, we moving down the field. Those are the sort of things, Dak, great read, perfect throw, that he needs help.
Key, can I ask you something?
You got to help him.
How much of this do you think is the fact that within our community, right, we talk about representation of black quarterbacks in the league, and you see a guy like Dak. Mm-hmm. How much of it is the fact that we want him to be the elite of the elite, but it just feels like he doesn't pan out to be that? But he's on America's team. He's wearing a Dallas Cowboys star, and he's good, but we feel like we want him to be exceptional. Maybe, and he got paid like an exceptional quarterback, but maybe he's not exceptionally.
It's a couple of things that happens in this situation, and Mr. Tannenbaum can certainly chime in here. It's where he was drafted.
Yep. Expectations.
Well, he was drafted low, so there were really no expectations. Then he takes over for Tony. Now these expectations grow. Oh, my God, this isn't the same guy that was at Mississippi State. Now he gets the money. So the money makes everybody go crazy about what type of a player somebody should be.
And he got the money after he got hurt.
Then when you don't live up to the money, you're now going to be really judged on the field. Kirk Cousins has gone through that his entire career because he is paid, Mike, as you know, as basically the top quarterback in the National Football League for several years, and he wasn't getting anything done in Minnesota. Even though he's a solid quarterback and they win a lot of games, he just wasn't getting them to where they needed to be, but he's being paid that way, and this is what Dak is going through.
Yeah, and when you're the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, it's like being, the President of the United States, what used to be the quarterback at Notre Dame, USC. Like, there's just some titles in our sports ecosystem that's going to come with unbelievable scrutiny. I've always been a big fan of his. I think one of the things when I watch him play, and it's funny, we were just talking about Josh Allen. I think it's like the inverse for Dak. Like, I love for him to say, you know what? It's 36. I'm going to run it, and I'm going to run over somebody. Like, I'm taking this game over. We're going to win this game because of me. And, I feel like that part, we've seen maybe a little bit more earlier in his career, maybe because he got hurt. I don't know why. But once or twice a game, I'd love for him just to see him make a play with his feet, get outside the pocket, let it rip, let it go. And
no, you're right about that. If he just pulls it down, if it's open and it's clean, just go.
Yep.
You know what? Never mind. I'm going to put it in my own hands.
It kind of feels like you're waiting for Dak to reach his ceiling, and you're wondering, will he ever reach it? That's what I wonder with Dak.
Guys,
will he ever hit the ceiling?
Speaking of what you're talking about, Jay, when I saw Justin Fields in college, I thought, similar size to Dak Prescott, right? But talent pitched higher.
Yeah.
Talent pitched. I like the arm. I like the leg. Talent pitched higher. When I see Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, I see guys who are physical and big, strong, higher pitched talent than Dak. Dak is good. He's good.
Dak can spin the ball, though.
He's good. I know he's good.
He can spin it.
He's not like those guys, though.
Doesn't mean that you can't win it.
Yeah, sure. You should be able to win a Super Bowl with him.
Mike T is right. Now that you said that, I would like to see him just decide, you know what, bump this. I'm
Pose
ready to
himself
go
a little.
pull it and run a dude down.
Yeah, Key, look at the first 2 plays in overtime before Josh Allen throws the pick. You could tell he was angry that he had fumbled the ball at the goal line, and he's like, F this, here I come. And I just wish Dak would do that just once or twice a game, on some consequential 3rd and 6 in the fourth quarter. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, you're staying on the sidelines. This is my game.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the playoffs especially, that'd be good for the Dallas Cowboys. But I hope they don't follow your advice, Mike. It sounds like sound advice, and I'm a Giants fan. Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider, who will be appearing later on a great show. This just in, 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. We want to hear from you. Is Dan Orlovsky crazy for putting Fields in the MVP conversation?
He's crazy.
Your chance to win $2,500. Coming up in just 15 minutes with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.